Hello, greetings, and welcome everyone to the greatest ASL weekly review. First, all the way to last, this is the one you want to be here for because today we are joined not only by myself, as always, and by Brad, as always,
Yep.
but we are also joined by Dravos, oh wait, he's late, and Lil A.
Greetings, comrades.
So, for this very final, special, touching weekly recap, we thought that we'd bring on a few guests, and Dravos will most likely be popping in at some point to start talking with us, depending
Not
on how
just
things goes.
not just guess, but a test run. Lille and Dravos are joining the season 12 YouTube team. So maybe a picture-in-picture of what is to come.
Yeah, indeed. I will actually, unfortunately, be dropping this league for the next season. I really wanted to join. I wanted to make a team. I'm so sad that I won't get to use any of my 5 draft plans. But real life apparently is a thing outside of Pokemon, and so sometimes you have to drop those commitments. But Dravos and Lille, I am sure, will take up my mantle and do
I'll
probably
do
better than
whatever
I
I
was doing.
can.
They certainly will, and Moth will be back. It is, people have come and gone. I've taken seasons off, and there's no question in my mind that Moth will return to us in a future season.
Yeah, I'm sure come next summer, maybe if there's something going on during winter break, something like that. Or maybe if college gets easy. I don't know, maybe not. But
Hey man, get you one of them, Tuesday, Thursday schedules, and you'll be good to go.
yeah, I'm gonna make an attempt for that because that sounds pretty good.
I mean,
But
it's a way to go.
this week we do have a singular game. And go ahead and tell them the reason that we don't have 2 games today.
Yeah, um, consolation bracket finals was not, it just wasn't taken very seriously, so we're gonna move on from it. Like, congrats to Peach and Melone for making it, and if you were interested in seeing the replay or finding out the winner of that match, then you can join the Discord server. The link is there, and that's about all we got to say on that one.
Yep, so as far as the match that we are going over my match versus Brad, the absolutely rigged finals match. We hacked our way
Rig!
all the way up here just so that we could have a YouTube only
Recap
finals
team
game.
finals.
Recap team finals. Here it is.
Moth or is Lille gonna lead us since he's the only unbiased one here?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. For team
sure, I can do
preview,
that.
what are your thoughts?
I'm very disappointed in you, Brad. No Wigglytuff in the finals.
I wanted to.
Oh, I was expecting it,
Really,
honestly.
I wanted to bring it not because it had a matchup, because I did not think it had a matchup, but just because I had so much fun with it this season.
You have awoken me to Wigglytuff, so I definitely agree. It has put in some fine work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and uh, I will say, Brad told me that he didn't think that Assault Vest, Landorus, Therian, and Sceptile should be brought again, and he took his challenge head on.
You did. You did
But
indeed.
regardless of that, I'll get this replay a playing.
I will say in regard to team preview, close to what I thought would come. Um, close to what I thought would come. I did not think Mandibuzz would come. That's the one thing here. When I went through your mons and I thought of possibilities, I did not see Mandibuzz as a possibility. Everything else, whether I thought it was likely or not, I did see them as a potential bring. I did not really think Mandibuzz was a potential bring. So seeing that one in particular mon show up, I was um, pretty surprised by.
Yeah, I thought you might be, and uh, I really didn't want to bring Mandibuzz, but I really only brought it for that thing that was just shown, that Tailwind with the Victini. I didn't think your team had a good switch into Choice Band Victini, but it just wasn't fast enough. Tailwind really did put in the work that I wanted it to, so that's pretty
I
much
mean,
the only reason I brought it.
what is a good switch into Choice Band Victini?
Flash fire.
Yeah. No? And so it's like, yeah, my team didn't have a good switch into Choice Band Victini, but like, hello, neither
Yeah,
did the next 13 rosters.
yeah.
But I mean, it was very impactful. It got rid of my Seismitoad really quickly, which was rather inconvenient.
Yeah, that's something I was hoping that I wouldn't see the Seismitoad, but I was definitely expecting it. And it is unfortunate that you brought it, because if it wasn't for Seismitoad soaking up that hits, it would have had to be Latios taking 2 hits or something else, like 2 other Pokemon just dying. Seismitoad and Latios were the only 2 that could even survive for a 2-hit KO.
Yeah.
Maybe some special Silvally.
The Silvally bring was the hardest decision I think I had to make. I went back and forth and back and forth and back. I mean, I had almost at some point I think I had every single Silvally type in my calculator.
Yeah, I was honestly expecting either Ghost or Flying was actually what I had as second most likely, but
I just wanted to ultimately be immune to EQ and resist the U-turn. And that's why I decided to go with Flying. I had Grass for a really long time, but I thought the odds of you bringing either Sludge Wave or Fly was too high for me to bring Grass.
yeah, that definitely makes sense. Lille, do you have any thoughts at this point?
I think flying definitely was the play because it just stopped Lando the best. He had to specifically be running a rock move if he wanted to do anything to that Silvally.
Yeah, which was definitely annoying because I thought that I had Charizard handled, and apparently Brad did too, because it didn't come. So I didn't bring that rock move, and I was really regretting it.
Yeah, I really wanted to bring Charizard just because it's been so good for me in the latter portion of the season. But I didn't feel it here, man. I really didn't feel it. I was gonna speed tie with Victini, I was fairly certain. I knew the Sceptile was gonna come, or at least I had enough wherewithal to know based on speed tiers you probably needed it. Um I just couldn't feel I didn't feel like I could afford it.
Yeah, and I honestly agree with that decision, because in prep, like a lot of things like Dragalge, I was like, okay, this takes on Charizard really well. Victini, this takes on Charizard really well. And even my Landorus Therian, it was doing a huge chunk with Fly, and it was surviving with the Assault Vest. So I think you were definitely making the right call to not bring the Charizard this time.
Yeah. What turn is the replay on that you were watching?
Currently it's on 26, and I've put it on slow.
Okay. So it's on 26. At Well, I don't want to give spoilers ahead. There's around this point that I started making decisions to play toward my setup Latios, and I just did not expect. Once I saw Circle Throw, I knew that this was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yes, at last, we've reached the MVP of this match. The real MVP of this match.
Kangaskhan, man.
Kangaskhan controlled this whole game, basically.
It did, but also it was my saving grace in that it allowed me an opportunity.
It was the deciding factor of the whole game.
It was everything. Everything came down to Kangaskhan, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you if you could replay it at some point, you see my calm mind here at turn 33. Are you wanting to swap out here, or are you just like, YOLO, I'm sticking with it?
Well, let's see. At 33, so I'm on 32 right now. But yeah, going into the 33, you say?
Yeah,
Oh,
you see
okay.
my
Yeah, I
calm
circle
mind.
throat, and then yeah, I see the calm mind, and honestly, no. I just thought there's no way I can possibly let this thing go completely unchecked. And I knew that unless you specifically had Draco Meteor and like Life Orb or something,
Yeah.
then I was gonna survive the hit, and I could not let that thing run through my team because
Yeah.
it would have. I really needed the Tailwind into Victini or something like that to take it on. So
Yeah. Dravos, what were you thinking about this point in the game?
Yeah, I was honestly under the impression that Moth had control of the situation. It. I mean, I didn't know your Latios set, but I assumed it was something that just couldn't take it on because we'd seen it come in, Calm Mind, and get thrown out. So yeah, I thought Moth was in complete control of the situation, just slowly whittling everything down. Seemed like you just couldn't kill it to me, but yeah, you had a plan the whole time.
What was the context, Moth, for the viewers who weren't there? What was the context of turn 38 in between 39?
turn 30. Oh, yeah. 38, you got that 10% para into the full para. And you actually offered to give me a free switch so that I could wish up because you did not think that it was fair. And I told you just play how you normally would because I absolutely didn't want to win this game off of you throwing because you haxed me. And I mean, things didn't get any better because in the next 5 turns, 3 of them were full paras. And that allowed your Latios to get up to +2, which was the exact thing that I was hoping to never let happen. Because +1, I had a plan. +2, it was done.
Yeah. I tried to talk you into it. In particular because it was around that first time I saw Circle Throw that I knew what I was trying to do. I knew from that point my goal was to sack everything that I had to where it was just Kangaskhan versus Latios. Um, that was my game plan from the moment I saw Circle Throw. And the Thunderbolt Paras certainly helped. It certainly helped. I don't know if your replay's finished. Mine
Yeah, it
has.
just finished.
I hate that the full Paras happened. I did explain myself a little bit. I was weakness, policy, agility. So my hope was calm mind, potentially the second calm mind. If I had to be able to maybe agility up on like a U-turn or a knockoff or a foul play or something of that nature. That was my plan in prep. That was my plan early on. That was what I was aiming for in the match. It didn't happen the way that I wanted it to, but it did eventually get there.
Yeah, and I've actually pulled up the Pokepaste for both of these. So we can actually see the full team. And yeah, that Latios set, I honestly don't know. It really would have come down to... I think you probably did get it with that Latios. I think if you got that agility up, my goal would have been to chip it down very slightly with U-turn into a Victini or a Landorus, which could take it out from there. But U-turn, unfortunately, despite doing like 20-something% damage, was going to activate that weakness policy. If it happened on an agility, you would have gotten the game for sure.
Yeah, I mean that was everything I wanted. That's what I set my team up for. Like that was the plan the entire time. Was I just wanted to get that agility up on a U-turn, and bad news was a coming. Like I said, not the way I wanted it to happen. Certainly wish those pairs had not have happened. But I love this set, man. Latios getting agility in Gen 8, along with Aura Spear, Mystical Fire. Latios is busted.
Yeah, it's very, very good. One of the best.
Especially in our format, I don't know that there's a tier B that rivals what Latios brings to the table. I really don't.
Yeah, for this format, for this drafting format, it is definitely king where you can get so much out of it, bring it to almost every game and have it perform. That's exactly what you're looking for and hoping for.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. What about Lille Drevos reactions? What do you think? What did you think when it was happening? What do you think now?
Uh, so I assume if the Thunderbolt Para didn't happen and it did come down to Kangaskhan versus Latios, Moth, I feel like you did have Body Slam, correct?
I did, yes.
You would have had to fish for that para, absolutely.
Probably.
That was your win con at that point.
Something very interesting, and this is going a little past just theorizing what could have happened in the game. This is going towards what could have happened if I prepped differently. Uh, Honestly, my Sceptile, I prepared it like many weeks in advance. I actually prepared like 3 or 4 sets for this match in week 6 or something like that because I thought there was a chance that I would be facing Brad in the finals. This Sceptile was one of those sets. And for some reason, I decided to rely on Focus Sash Unburden that did not outspeed Eladios. I was adamant nature. And
Oof.
so once the rocks chipped it down, my Sceptile set was useless. I really think that if I had Endure and enough speed to outspeed Latios, I could have endured, gone down to the 1% and done like the raising attack berry into a crunch. It wouldn't have killed, but then I had Victini with choice band quick attack. 100% if I was actually building the team full today, that would have been how it would have gone. It's obviously not how it went, but basically if that Sceptile had the speed that it should have had, things could have looked different. But
Definitely.
otherwise, I think that Brad just had it with that set. That one set really put me in the grave.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard when you go back and when you look back in retrospect and think, man, I could have done this, I could have done that. That's hard. It's hard on you as a coach. It's hard on you as a player because then you do get into that, man, kicking yourself kind of game. And it's really unfair because you're in a situation where, you're bringing your best stuff, they're bringing their best stuff. And those matches, as I've said before in these exact videos, those matches are a 50-50, man. They're brutal. They're so difficult.
For sure.
I agree. Hindsight's 2020, they say. You can always look back and think, oh, if I would have brought this, I would have won, but you couldn't have known.
No.
And that's just how the game is.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be completely honest. I was definitely over relying on Brad not bringing stealth rocks because it is so rare that he puts stealth rocks on his team. I thought
Yeah.
that defog was coming, but if not, I had the toxic spikes. But I wasn't expecting rocks from his side, and I know that's where my head was when I created this set because against any other coach, I would not expect to come in with a perfect focus sash reliably. So it
Yeah.
definitely was a conscious decision, and I'm not going to say that it was necessarily the wrong one either, because in a world where those stealth rocks didn't exist, it would have been a free sword stance, and it wouldn't matter if you had, well, maybe if I'd put right speed investment, but regardless.
Yeah, I do. Some of that stuff's intentional, some of it's by luck, but there is some thought into making trends for myself that I can then break later on. I've talked about that in some of the videos with like my lead matchups. I do that on purpose. Like I'll make a lead matchup trend and then I'll just so that I can break it later on in a big game or something like that. This wasn't that particular situation. I just knew that Stealth Rocks would be essential. Um, I needed that chip, particularly with the type of team that I was bringing. I wasn't bringing a super offensive Coco. I wasn't bringing, Charizard Y to nuke everything. So I wanted that extra chip.
Yeah, and it really did end up being pivotal on my Victini as well, because I think Victini had a lot of chances to actually switch in there. But
Mhm.
as is, I really, because Victini was my end goal. My end goal was Tailwind up, go into Victini, grab a few kills. Do that a couple times, win the game. But that didn't end up happening because you didn't let me chip down the Latios by like 20% or whatever I needed. And the Stealth Rocks, I brought it in 2 times and brought it down to 50%. And I couldn't switch in on anything, and I had no slow pivots to get it in. So those Stealth Rocks definitely won you the game, and I was way overconfident. Should have had defog on Mandibuzz or something, but definitely good on you for breaking that trend that, I mean, I've prepped with you before, so you probably even knew he's not going to expect me to break this trend now.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, all three of y'all, which I'm so excited to have you here doing the YouTube video, because all three of y'all are brand new season 11 coaches. You'd never coached in the ASL before. So if you could, just one at a time, each of you, just kind of what was your thoughts, takeaways? How'd you feel about your season? And what do you expect moving into next season?
Well, I'll go first then, I suppose. I felt pretty good about my season. Uh, I'm glad to have made playoffs the first time in ASL. It's pretty cool. It's a much more competitive league than I've done before, so that's always nice. But I know my issues with where I went wrong. I know what I'm going to do differently next season.
Yeah.
I need to get better with more offense, less bulky offense. It's kind of my challenge for myself, and I'm excited to test it in ASL. I can't think of a better league that I know of to test how competitive I can be. Did I answer all the question? I kind of immediately forgot
Yeah.
it.
Lily,
Okay.
what did you think about your experience? What you're looking forward to next year? Just anything you want to say.
I honestly, when Brandon first invited me to this league, I didn't know what to expect. All he really told me is it's a more competitive league than ones I've been in, and he recommended it because he saw me and thought I was a really good player. Honestly, I feel like the latter half of the season is where things started really picking up for me, where
Yeah.
I started being like, this is serious time. This is where I have to start really thinking about what I bring. I think, yeah, really, my last few matches is where my eyes really started to open on. Oh, this is the kind of thought that people put into their prep. This is the kind
Definitely.
of stuff I don't do myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It is different when you start getting into some of those matches where it's like, people are thinking scenario specific. That's a different level of prep to start prepping scenario specific.
It is for sure. I also got to say, this is probably one of the best. I've been in a few leagues now, and this is probably one of the best communities I've been a part of out of all of them.
It's
The
awesome.
chat, the community
I
is
agree with
very
that.
active. It's fun to be in. It's always a good time.
It's awesome.
I agree with that as well. Lily and I have been in a lot of leagues together, and there's one other league that even comes like close to it. We've been in a couple leagues that have died. Just ASL is quite a bit different. It's a fun league to be a part of.
It's awesome.
Yeah, this is I'm definitely glad I managed to make it to this league, because I really went into Draft League as a whole. I just started this summer, partway through this summer, because I was super bored and I had seen some YouTubers do some stuff, and So I just hopped in the first league that would expect me off of a Reddit post, and I spent like 2 hours on my first prep session, and I prepped every scenario, and then I fought someone who brought like Focus Punch and like Smackdown Tyranitar and like Woodhammer Mimikyu, and like basically just picked 6 Pokemon, threw 4 moves on all of them, and called it good. And so it was definitely not exactly what I was expecting, and so I did some league searching, and somehow Brad found me, brought me here, and this is exactly what I was hoping for. I may be prepping for 2 hours here a lot of times, but I feel like it's a good reward every single match that I have, that I put the effort in. I mean, this season in particular, I'm really glad that I made it to finals. I didn't really get to express my final thoughts on the results of the match, but even though I lost to Hacks, or potentially, I mean, I probably would have lost fair and square otherwise, but even though that happened, I don't feel bad about it whatsoever. I'm really glad that I made it to finals, and that for me is the accomplishment. Making it that far on my very first go round is absolutely amazing. I had a lot of fun with my team, and I'm really sad that I don't get to join you guys and make my next team, because I think I'd have a lot of fun with that. But I'm still gonna stick around. I'm gonna lurk. I'm gonna watch some replays, and definitely I'm gonna keep up with the YouTube. I'm really excited to see what you guys do with this YouTube channel, because that's been a fun one to keep up too.
I'm gonna burn to the ground.
That is a real possibility. It can't be any worse than it was in the prior seasons where they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
No, I'm just really excited to have all 3 of you in this particular season, and Lily and Travis will be coming back next season, and Moth in the future certainly.
He better. I gotta beat him one of these
You got
times. 2
you
losses.
got a bone to
too?
pick with them.
They were bad losses too.
Yeah, and if I don't come back, then I'm never going to get my revenge on Brett, who has somehow beat me on both of our battles. I'm coming for him. He's got that perfect record, and I can't let that stand.
Yeah, it's hard to find good coaches, and we got very lucky with all 3 of you. I completely expect both of you guys to make it into the playoffs next season. Next season is going to be absolutely insanely brutal. If you thought this season was rough, just hold on to your coasters, friends, because next season's going to get worse. And
No, please, that's okay.
On that. We'll have more on those rosters soon, but the coach roster for next season. Historically, all we did is we added former champion, and we added best coach to never have won a title. That's all we did in the off season. So it's going to get worse.
I'm looking forward to watching the struggle, see who comes out on top of that, because it definitely looks like you have an interesting lineup.
I'm not looking forward to joining the struggle. It's going to be ridiculous.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to the draft.
I am looking forward to the draft. Early spoilers, anybody? Huh? You want to show your cards early?
I have no idea what I'm drafting, so...
I would be first pick Deoxys Speed if I was there.
There you go.
Illumise is always on my radar.
Always on the radar. Moth, do you want to go ahead and pull up the Hall of Fame entry?
Yeah, I can
We'll
do
take
that.
a look and see how things broke down for us. You go to the very bottom of the Discord, League History Hall of Fame.
There it is.
We can give credit to those who've won their awards.
All right, well, I will just, I guess, do I just read it from top to bottom?
We've already covered the first one, so we got best coach or coach of these awards are focused on the regular season. So the regular season best coach. I mean, that was pretty unquestionably TCP, right? With the unbelievable Klefki play, 11-2. It had to be TCP, didn't it?
Yeah, no, he won so many of his games in the regular season and did it in so many different fashions, and it was really a blessing to see anyone who could put in. I mean, we tout on the Klefki a lot, but put in that much work just in general. It wasn't like Klefki was the only member of his team that he used really well. That Dracozolt was terrifying. Gliscor is really hard to fight in this generation, and he used it all to the fullest extent that I think he could have.
The Dracozolt was arguably better, right? I mean, the Klefki got the glamour shot, if you will, but the Dracozolt was arguably the more influential Mon week in and week out.
I just want to say that Dracozold, after week 1, that Mon never missed again.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
it was pretty
know.
accurate.
I played him, and I'm pretty sure it landed like 6 or 7 moves against me. I was like, what are you doing? Why is my luck not this good?
I almost became convinced he was wide lens the rest of the season, but I'm pretty sure I saw other items at some point.
He was running leftovers rest talk most of the time.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
He had a pep talk with that Mon, and it was like, all right, boss.
I'm telling you, I will say the most improved may catch some people off guard because Moth doesn't have a historical performance to gauge it off of. But that's ultimately why the community decided to vote for him for most improved. Is he did not have a history of competitive counter team format, and he went from no experience whatsoever to making an appearance in the finals. So he improved on the job, if you will.
Yeah, that's a way to look at it. I personally didn't vote myself into this slot because I think it is kind of strange to have someone's first appearance be their most improved, but regardless of that, I'm happy to have been thought of for the role.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to go compare like last season's results to this season's results, no one, at least as far as I can recall, improved their standing very much. So options may have been in relatively short supply. Dravos, why did you vote Lille for hardest team to prep against?
I always have a hard time against Lily. I've only beat him once, and it was here in ASL, but I got some pretty good hacks in my favor quite early on. But a Mega Altaria, a Mew, that right there is a lot to prep against that you don't know what they're going to do week to week. On top of knowing that Lily is a really good coach, in my opinion. So to me, he was just by far the most difficult to prep for. He had lots of threats. He had a Corviknight, Breloom, Teleon. He made Morpeko scary. He's just a hard coach to prep against. Hard team.
Yeah, I agree with that. Lille, I mean, what did you think? Did you think you would have a shot at this award?
I mean, I don't blame it because Mew really is the jack of all trades. So how does one prep for that?
Sure.
Altaria can literally go any way it wants. I think I ended up running it mostly bulky every week, but if it wants to be offensive, it can be offensive. If it wants to be a special attacker, it can be a special attacker. The rest of them, I feel like, had pretty standard sets whenever I brought them, but definitely those top 2 picks of mine can do whatever they want at each and every week.
Yeah, and even if you're bringing standard sets on stuff like the Corviknight, in addition to those two, I mean, I had a team that luckily had like Victini and some strong special attackers that could hit neutrally and stuff like that, and it was still insanely hard to prep against because Pokemon like Corviknight can just completely blank some. Like, I had to run Smackdown or something on my Landorus just to have a shot of having my Landorus do anything that match. And
Right.
just, even if it's just bringing standard stuff, putting that Corviknight in the Breloom, and then knowing that the Venomoth sweep could happen in the background, and it's a hard team to prep against.
Yeah, I agree. I will just say honorable mention to Ian's team. It was the only A+ in our draft grades, and I thought that team was absolutely bonkers. Most creative coach went to Static. I think partially for his really impressive Mr. Rhyme use. Right? Any other comments or thoughts on that particular award?
He made Rhyme tier A.
He
What
did,
more
bro.
needs to be said?
It was so good.
And then he had to drop it, but you know what? We forgive him.
I
No,
mean,
we
hey, dropping one of your best performing Pokemon, that's some creativity. Not many people are going to think out that far out of the box.
And I mean, look how it went for him, right? He was doing well. He dropped Mr. Rhyme. He missed the playoffs. Karma comes back and finds you.
There's definitely a connection there.
Has to be. Has to be. Tier Emon, we voted Titanol in. The spread isn't great, Dravos. 2-9. The spread's not great, but why was it worthy of the Tier E vote?
It really just put in a lot of work for Ian. He used it very creatively, I felt. I don't have a whole lot of experience against type null, but he used it very well. And it's a great tier E. After seeing Ian use it, I don't know if it should be a tier E. Like, I don't know if it's just how well Ian used it or what, but it was a huge threat. He just used it was so unkillable. He ran rest talk a lot, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of rest talk.
Tough mon to prep for because
really
you can't
bulky.
toxic it because he'll just rest.
Yeah. It's hard to knock off when he's got mons like, Mega Sharpedo that he could potentially go out into, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes it a lot more difficult as well.
Yeah.
A lot of mons that don't care too much about knockoff. You could always be bringing out a weakness policy, Necrozma. Knockoff's not going to do anything to it. You might pop that.
Yeah.
He had Luxray, so as long as he has the Flame Orb already off, like, doesn't care if you knock that off.
Sure.
Rhyperior would just eat a hit. He has a lot of mons that don't care about a knockoff. So it made it hard to click that. So then you're not making it any less bulkier, causing it to lose the Eviolite. And it's just a tough mon to get through. And especially at that budget, that's incredible value.
I've got to agree. Moth, what'd you think about Embor and that unbelievable spread for a tier Demon?
Man, Embor, I am so happy that someone managed to make this Pokemon shine because it is definitely one of my favorites, and I've never seen someone use it so well as to allow it to go 21-3 in 7 games. That is an insane spread. It was taking multiple Pokemon down almost every time it hit the field. Usually when you have stuff like Flare Blitz, and I believe it's Reckless is the name of the ability that it uses, so it's using those recoil moves all the time, and it still managed to have over a 50% survival rate and take down so many things on the way. It's just not what you expect to see from an Embor, and it really, really did some fantastic work for tier D. That's amazing. That's unbelievably amazing.
That to me was probably what was so impressive is not necessarily the 21, because Embor is an amazing nuke, but the 3.
Yeah.
With the Flare Blitz recoil, getting down and only dying 3 times in 7 games, that was really surprising to me. Lille, what about the Klefki? I mean, what Klefki a kill leader in a competitive league? What's that all about?
TCP was determined to make Klefki MVP of the season. That mon came, I think, almost every game. I'm surprised it didn't come every game. I guess he just found some matchups where it didn't match up, where he was like, it's going to die for sure if it comes. But even in situations where you thought, there's no way this mon is coming because I have the perfect stop to it, he brought that mon and he got it to do something.
He really did. And, for best offensive mon, defensive mon overall, we generally try to not repeat those. So Embor got the nod on the offensive mon. Corviknight got the nod on defensive mon, and Klefki with the overall. I don't. That is, pretty shocking. Pretty shocking to see a Klefki be a kill leader. Pretty shocking to see a Klefki be worthy of an MVP vote. Man, 22-3 is just absolutely bananas. Completely bananas. Moth, your Mon won 7th Mon of the year.
Yeah, I am very happy that my Diancie made it so far because Diancie is one of those Pokemon that it did not matter. I had two Pokemon. One was Regigigas. We won't talk about that. The other one was this
Why not?
Diancie that made it to every single one of my draft plans because it got so much in this last DLC. And I just wanted to use it. And the fact that I was able to use it, and not only use it, but use it well, made me really happy. I may have only been able to find 5 games where it put in a lot of work, but 11-2 in those 5 games, I ran weakness policy with rock polish a few times, and that did really well. Diamond Storm is just an amazing move. It really is an amazing move, and I even used it defensively with stuff like Toxic and Stealth Rock, and managed to pull, I think, 2 or 3 kills in my first game against you. I think 3 kills just based on Toxic Stall and stuff like that. It's really incredibly versatile. For tier D, you aren't going to find much better.
I'm gonna be in the minority here. I'm almost certain, but I like base form Diancie better than Mega Diancie.
I actually agree with that. It does not take the Mega slot. It can run that weakness policy rock polish. It can run those. It has the potential for the bulkier sets, which I think DNC does really well. It can stealth rock set, body press now. It's got some options that the Mega DNC maybe is fit more into a very specific role.
They're very different mons, right? But the value of Diancie and tier D is really hard to replace.
Yeah, that's definitely a steal for a mon that can set rocks for you and has just, 150 in each defense?
Yep.
That's it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and with defenses like that, it means if you want to run a bulky set, you can get away with just hit point investment and you're already bulky. You can put more in that attack or whatever you need.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Shout out to Melone for Mega Gallade winning best free agent pickup. Also, what is wrong with all of us for letting Mega Gallade be a free agent?
I know, right?
Still, credit to Melone. He managed to pick up one of the probably top 5 mons in the meta. And Mega Gallade did what Mega Gallade does. And as the trend continues, I have in the history of the ASL the most gimmick of the year against. And that trend continues once again with the gimmick of the year coming against me with Worry Seed Florgus eliminating my Gothitelle and extending at that time my losing streak to 3 games.
I remember that when that happened in game. That was exciting. I was blown away.
I also remember that, and I actually agree with you. I was stunned. I was like, wow, okay, that's cool.
He got you.
It was the highlight of the season. Easy.
Yeah, shame Nemo couldn't finish out the season. Who knows
He had
where
some
that
really,
went.
he had some really creative sets. So it's sad to see him go.
It was looking good, but you know what? That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Just the way it is. So I just want to say, for me, as a co-founder and co-commissioner of the ASL, I appreciate all you guys. Season 11 was a huge success. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. To those that are out there, our viewers, just thank you for hanging out with us. And Man, this is just another step in a very long journey. The ASL is nowhere close to done. We are past the 4 year mark. We're walking into our 12th season very soon. And I can't imagine us stopping anytime in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, we'll be doing this. You're going to be an old man, 80 years old in your rocking chair and still hitting up that computer and putting in your sets for the week.
I will be 80 years old and still be beating Dravos.
I
That's
beat
not
you
that
there.
hard.
Man, just imagine putting in all those years, going to the retirement home, and all of us are old men still doing the same thing. I could see it happening. Not really, but it could go for a while.
Could happen. It could happen. Oh, Dravos, Lil A, y'all want to sign us off?
Looking
Sure.
forward to season 12. See you all next time.
Yeah. I look forward to fighting everyone next season.
Well, bye, everyone.